You may have recognized that band. Black Sabbath with Megalomania off of Sabotage. Now that's the remastered version that is just now coming out. So what was old is new again. Two black metal tracks before that. The first one was by Wolves in the Throne Room, Mountain Magic off of Primordial Arcana, and Maudir with The Slumber off of La Part du Diable. You are listening to Mostly Metal here on WVLP 103.1 FM in Valparaiso, Indiana. In the last year and several months, more than a year, I've been filling hour 2 with top 10 lists. This week is going to be a little different. Earlier this week, I had a chance to do a phone interview with Jeremy Ray, the vocalist of InnerSiege, who is talking about their latest release, Fury of Ages, which just came out this past Friday on the 11th on the Qumran Records label here in North America. We had a nice long chat. Went longer than I anticipated, but it was a good time, and I'm just going to play the whole thing. Should be fun. After you hear us talking for quite a while, I told him that I would play 2 tracks off of the InnerSiege album, Fury of Ages, and he got to pick which 2. And then I asked him what other bands might have songs that would pair well with InnerSiege. And he picked a couple, and so I'm going to play those after that. So basically, Jeremy helped me program this entire hour. So thanks, Jeremy. You made my job a lot easier. So anyway, here on Mostly Metal right now, a nice long interview with Jeremy Ray of InnerSiege. I am on the phone with Jeremy Ray, vocalist of the, I'll call it the Chicago and Midwest area band InnerSiege, which makes it sound like a local band, and that's not the case. That's just kind of where the home base is. And we're going to talk about their new release and everything going on. So thanks for joining me, Jeremy.
Yes, thank you very much. We appreciate the opportunity to talk with you.
Great. I will, I'll record this, clean it up, and this will be going on the air this coming Sunday night, and then that show replays the following Wednesday, and I'll tag you in any posts about it so that, you can share around a link or whatever. We are recording this before the show, so this is not live, where it's about 8 o'clock on Tuesday night, and just to make it official and clear to the listeners that are out there, we're recording at 8 because you had stuff to do today, and not because you're living that rock and roll lifestyle and just crawling out of bed at 6:30 or 7 p.m. right?
Oh no, we are everyday normal people just like anybody else. We have jobs and families, and so yeah, there's no rock and roll lifestyle. We just love making music and heavy metal. That's it.
Awesome. So the band InnerSiege has a new album out, and the title is Fury of Ages, or it's coming out shortly, right? Its official release date is still a couple days away, a few days away.
Is the 11th? Yeah.
Okay.
The 11th of June.
So that'll be so by the time this airs, it will have been out. So that must be Friday, the 11th.
Yes,
Sounds
Friday.
like a Friday. Okay. And it's fun to hear about this because the label that's distributing this in North America is, I've never said this out loud before, Qumran Records, Qumran.
That's correct.
It's run, at least in part, by a friend of the show, Lothar Keller. And they're kind of new and up and coming in terms of being a label. So it's fun to watch you guys working with them and getting out this music along with a lot of other good stuff that they've been putting out recently too. So how's that relationship going so far?
It's been very, very good. The constant contact has been just incredible. Daily at times, phone calls and planning sessions and, crunching ideas and just the whole step of the way, from the mixing, all the way up through the production, the artwork. They've been great in guiding me and guiding us. And, you can totally tell that they have an interest in quality. And that's absolutely what they want. And realizing the current climate within the music industry and with all the COVID stuff going on and whatever, I think they feel there's an opportunity for quality to come forward, and that's really where they want to focus. And they've been really great and very helpful, and just been really great relationships so far. We're very happy with them.
That's awesome. And this is one reason why I sort of hesitated to say that you were a Chicago area band, because that kind of sounds like it traps you. But this thing is getting released in North America. There's a different label that's partnering with you guys to release it in Europe, and I didn't write the name down, but it was Dust.
No Dust Records.
No Dust Records.
Out of the Netherlands.
Okay.
Yeah, No Dust Records. They have a physical record store there as well as the many contacts all throughout Europe, and so we're getting and they've been great too. We've all had conference calls and in constant contact, and the partnership between the two, it's just so fluid and smooth, and it's you wouldn't expect it, that two different entities can all come together, but it's like we all have the same vision. It's like we're all thinking the same things, and it's all about quality, and it's been a great partnership for all of us.
That's great. So this release, Fury of Ages, is getting out there. It's going to be all over the place, which is awesome.
Oh yeah. There's physical copies, LP and vinyl in Europe being distributed, and physically in stores as well as here in the United States, plus many online retailers as well.
So, good. Let's talk about the band itself, just for people that aren't familiar with you guys, and then we'll talk about the album specifically, and maybe some plans you have going forward. So you are your information says you're based in Peoria. Is that all of you, or just some of you? How does that work?
It's in the general area. Nobody physically lives in Peoria anymore. I used to.
Okay.
I moved to a suburb about a year ago. But we're all in the general vicinity. So if you could say Peoria proper is about 100,000 people, the suburbs are about 350 plus thousand if you include the suburbs. So we're all in the suburbs of the city. So so we say Peoria because it's a major city.
Does that locality that you kind of all share one way or another have anything to do with your ability to work together so that you can get together and write songs and record songs, or is it still more about trading digital assets and sending each other MP3s and things like that?
Sure, we actually still meet every week, and we meet. We've met every week for years, and so what we've done is we actually meet at Wade's house, the drummer, Wade Helm. And we have to have what we call a quiet practice setup. So we're all punched in digitally through a mixer with our own in-ears, and Wade has his own MIDI drums. And so we actually are playing live instruments, but we're only hearing it through the headphones. And so it's called a quiet practice. And then every so often we'll go ahead and bust out all the big amps, and we'll go find a stage somewhere and crank it up. Just to get that live air, feeling again. But we meet still every week, and it's no more than a 15-minute drive, 10-minute drive for anybody. So we all kind of centrally meet at his place, and it's not a big deal. We just continue to meet.
Has it been the same group of people ever since, whenever the beginning was? I see that I've not heard it, to be honest, but in 2012, you guys released your first full-length, Kingdom of Shadows was the title.
Yes.
And between then and now, it sounds like you've still been able to stay active, and then that's developed into this newest release, Fury of Ages, which is coming out, or will be out by the time this airs.
Yeah, we've had JL and Robin both joined us in 2010 and 2011. And so they were then a part of all the recording of Kingdom of Shadows. So it's been the same guys for the past two albums, for the first album and this album. We did have all the songs already written on Kingdom of Shadows. So basically, Robin and JL came in and learned them, and then we played them and then recorded them. So the Kingdom of Shadows was just slightly different because we did have our founding guitar player. He did write several riffs, and then together we kind of wrote, Kevin, myself, and the other Kevin, the founding guitar player. We all kind of wrote the music together. And then on this particular album was the first time that all of us were able to actually put some input in without, two other guitar players, or maybe, another lyric writer, all putting in some ideas. So I think this newer album, to me, it feels a little more together, a little more, I wouldn't say mature, but I'd say it's a little more together because it's been the same guys playing it, has been the same guys writing it, every week, in the practice pad. And so crunching out ideas and, hey, what do you think of this? And recording it, and then, listening to it for a week and coming back and making adjustments. And so it's been a much nicer, refined process having the guys actually who are playing it actually writing it too. So there's a little bit of difference there, and we like what we've got so far.
For people that are listening right now, I don't know how many of them have heard. I've played a couple of tunes off of the record on air. I don't know who's heard it. And for people that aren't familiar with you, the question is obviously going to be, okay, you're talking to this guy about his band, but what do they sound like? So I looked up on the Encyclopedia Metallicum, the Metal Archives page, because they have a little Sounds Like tab, and the two bands listed there for your Sounds Like are Theocracy and Queensryche. Who else is there that either you think you sound like or other people have dropped where they say, oh man, you guys sound like this band? So what's your zone? Who do you sound like?
Well, we've had people say that at times we have the vocal stylings of Bruce Dickinson, Iron Maiden, though we don't sound like Iron Maiden. We've heard early Queensryche several times. Sometimes we get Metal Church, early Metal Church. Every once in a while, maybe a Crimson Glory. We get Firewind occasionally because of our guitar players, the way they solo and things like that. Our influences, are across the board. I mean, they almost couldn't be any different. Everything from like a Nazareth type all the way through Motorhead, and then into Kiss, and definitely Iron Maiden, and I love which I don't even know what to call it anymore, but a female fronted power metal, symphonic power metal, and so on. We love Camelot, and we love all of Frederick Nordstrom's stuff, his mixing, his mastering, so Dream Evil, and we love Firewind and Gus G and those guys. So we get sometimes a bit of a vibe of Priest, especially more of the newer stuff. The new album, the newish album, Firepower. I believe that's what it's called. That's really in the vein, and we love the newest Saxon stuff and the newest Accept stuff. And so, who we sound like is probably just going to be that early Queensryche, type of vibe there. But that's the one we get, is the early Queensryche.
Yeah. So I'm gonna name drop another sort of Chicago area band that's not restricted to Chicago, but that's their home base, and there's a reason for this. But I'll name drop November's Doom, and the reason is that it's always fun to talk to them about music because Vito, their guitarist, is a huge power metal fan, like the cheesier the better. But he plays in November's Doom, right? So who is it in your band that has the personal tastes that are far outside what you guys end up sounding like? And maybe you have to tell them, no, we're not putting 3 layers of keyboards in this song or something.
We all love the same things, but I would have to say that probably the most different would probably be Robin, the bass player. He's originally from Kingdom of Norway. And so he actually, in his own right, is an accomplished black metal musician. And so with black metal vocals and the albums and so on, his band from back in Norway, Frost Harder, they've got 2 full lengths out, or actually one EP and one full length. And so, but he doesn't, say, hey, let's go black metal on stuff.
Sure.
And we don't go that way. And he's very open to, many things. And we've just created a family type environment and a friendship and a brotherhood that, if you ask him, hey, do you like power metal? He'll tell you no. No. And so the only thing he does not like would be like multiple heavy layered vocals.
Right.
He doesn't like the big 3-part harmony layer stuff. And so, then JL is pretty much the more progressive, the better. And so we probably have to dial back JL a little bit on a little bit of the odd chord structures than we do Robin and wanting to add black metal influence. But the rest of us, we're all in sync. I mean, even as an entire group, we're all in sync. Believe it or not. So it works out well.
It sounds like a good tension to have, because then you can keep yourselves in balance while you're keeping things interesting as well.
Yeah, and for our live shows, I've told each one of the guys, I want you to be true to yourself and you be what you want to be. And so, we have, a couple songs on the first album. We had one song where Robin was able to do his black metal vocals on Dragon Rider on the first album. And then on this album, he's got 2 vocal parts. And so, we like to tap into, everybody's strong suits. And we like to, let them just express themselves how they want on stage. So we tell Robin, hey, when it's time to play live, play the notes, but you just do what you feel. And so, our guys, I think, put on a really good live show, and it's always entertaining, to say the least. But giving everybody room to really stretch out and express themselves and be who they want, I think has been key to our getting along and the key to our shows.
So let's talk about the album itself, Fury of Ages. I'm looking at the track list. There's 11 tracks altogether, and I didn't count it up, but I'm guessing that the runtime for this is probably coming in about the 45 to 50 minute range, maybe.
I think it's 47. It's 47.
Perfect.
Yeah,
that is the perfect length for an album.
Yeah.
not filling every last bite of space on that CD to crank it out to 76 minutes. That's good. So my favorite tracks, I think, so far have been Firewind and Power Metal Glory, which I think might be, it seems that maybe that's becoming sort of the flagship song from the album because you have the full video for it now. Is that deliberate, or is it my imagination, or what's?
No, and I'll talk about Power Metal Glory real quick, and then I'll go into Firewind. Power Metal Glory was a song that we actually wrote in the practice pad in an hour and a half in one setting, in one practice. And we basically were just like, well, hey, let's just jam on something. You know what? Let's clear our heads. Let's just jam. And, JL started riffing on something. I'm like, hey, I think we got something here. So I also play guitar. So I started adding in, and Robin started playing along. And next thing I know, I'm like, guys, we've got a song here. And so the whole thing, the entire thing was done in an hour and a half. I went home, wrote the lyrics, and the very next week we were rehearsing it as a full song. And that was just something that had never happened before with us. It's always been a multi-week or month process to really fine tune. But just in that hour and a half, one practice session, we come back the next week and we had a song just like that. And it came from the whole lyrical content is essentially mostly focused on like Wade and I's what we call metal story, but really it's all the guys' metal story, how we were introduced to heavy metal in the first place. And so my heavy metal story started with Quiet Riot, hearing it in grade school and thinking, what is this? I mean, wow. And Wade's aggressive song is Kiss isn't necessarily metal to some people, But Kiss was like, wow, to Robin, or I'm sorry, to Wade. And, Robbins was the first time he heard Motorhead. He's like, holy cow,
Mm-hmm.
and that wasn't necessarily, those bands aren't necessarily metal, but that's where the long hair, denim and patches, switchblades, chains and metal.
Right.
That's an homage to those bands. Is the lyrics in that song.
And
so
I think
it's
that
basically the metal origin story.
Yeah, and I think that's going to speak to a lot of people that hear it. And I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play a couple of tracks off the album in the show once this interview part airs, and that's probably going to be one of them. But yeah, I think a lot of people are going to hear that and really resonate with it because when I was watching the video and listening to the lyrics, and it opens up with when you're young and you hear this for the first time, and the clouds part and the light starts shining on you, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is this stuff? I think just about everybody that loves this genre has probably had that experience before.
Yeah, it's so unique. I think because it bonds all of us, and like the bridge goes into. No matter the time, no matter the distance between us, we're still family, and we're bound by metal,
I think
and we've had.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, I think that this also is going to be, one of those prime audience participation songs where, you take a little break and you say, okay, I'm going to teach you guys some words. And then when I point at you, you're going to sing them. I think this song is going to fit that niche really, really well.
It does. Yeah. We've played it and that's exactly what happens. So, and they really get into it, which is great. So we love that. The song Firewind was actually written by mistake. And so I tell this story, when we played it live, I tell the story as I had this really great riff and I kind of put some stuff together and I was so excited about it. I called up Kevin. I said, Kevin, I got to hear this. So I just wrote it. And I was just so thrilled. And so he was at his parents' house in another city. I'm like, I'm going anyway. I'm driving. So I took off and I said, meet me in the driveway. And so I put it in and he's like, wow, this is great. He's like, you know what we need to do? He goes, we need to write a song with the band name in it. And I was like, well, like what? He goes, well, like if Firewind was to write a song and they'd put Firewind in the lyrics, or like Dream Evil is to write a song and put Dream Evil in the lyrics. He goes, you think you could do that? You think you can make this? I said, yeah, I could write a song like that. So I went home, wrote the lyrics, did some scratch tracks, brought it back, played it for him. He's like, I love it. I love the song. He goes, but where's the line about it? I go, well, there isn't one. You told me to write one about Firewind. He said, no, I didn't. I wanted you to write one about InnerSiege. I was like, well, I mean, I guess I could change it. No, leave it. We'll just call it Firewind. We'll just let it be. We'll put InnerSiege in something else. So completely written by mistake, and so it's turned out to be that song. We've played it and practiced it in 3 different keys until finally we hit the final magic touch, and that's what's on the album. But it's quite funny when you think about you get this great idea and it was just a total misunderstanding. I made a mistake. Wrapped this whole song scratching for lyrics and trying to come up with the visuals and all this stuff and then I ended up it was completely wrong.
Well, now you still have the opportunity for that trifecta, so not just the name of your band as part of the song, but having the name of the band as the title of the song on the self-titled album, like Black Sabbath did, like Iron Maiden did. So you still have that opportunity.
Yes. That's a great point. That is true.
One of the tracks on the album is an instrumental called Iron Lotus. When you prepare this one as the vocalist, what's your reaction? Do you think, yay, I can go grab a beer while they're playing this live? Or do you look around and say, what the hell, guys, where's my part?
No, not at all. I actually brought the main riff idea myself to Joe and Kev. And then we all worked that out, and I said, guys, the more we got to working at it, I go, you know what? I don't think this needs vocals. just needs to be an instrumental, and you guys need to just back and forth and do it. I said, and they're like, well, we're cool with that. Absolutely. Yeah. Cause their influences, are Malmsteen, and Steve Vai and Gus and all these guys are like, oh yeah, we'll do that. So you guys feeling like, shredding for, a couple minutes? Oh yeah. So I enjoy, when we played this live, stepping off the stage and watching people's reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Because Kev and JL have a good time up there, and there's not a lot of what I would say that there's not a lot of dueling back and forth instrumentals happening, in our area for sure. But to sit back and watch the crowd, and plus I can grab a water and I can just kind of take a breather for a second.
Yes.
and watch them go nuts. The name of Iron Lotus, I always ask people, I said, hey, free sticker or free patch, whoever can tell me where the name Iron Lotus came from. And it's actually from the guy that plays Napoleon Dynamite. He had a song called Blades of Glory.
Uh-huh.
And the Iron Lotus was their figure skating finish move that they did with him and Will Ferrell. And so I just thought, you know what, Iron Lotus, that's a pretty cool song name. I'm going to hang on to that.
That's a deep dive into pop culture right there.
It's a very deep dive, and we're all very much quirky and funny, and we as a group, we are constantly joking, and we don't try to take ourselves seriously, and so we're not afraid to go a little deeper with Iron Lotus. That's so deep. It's like, wow. It's more of a joke. For
people that are interested in hearing what's on the album, going to YouTube, there's, as I mentioned, you guys did looks like a full video shoot for Power Metal Glory. And then there's also lyric videos for tracks called Echoes into Eternity and also Stronghold. I think I caught that Stronghold is the song that actually gives the album its title from some of the lyrics in that song. The Fury of Ages.
Yes, that's correct.
So how was the process for that video shoot? Was that for Power Metal Glory? I should have asked this before we were talking about it, but
yeah, we video shoots. I've done them before. Assisted in them. Helping a band with it. I've assisted with the videographers as well. So I had an idea of how it was going to go. And, I told the guys, prepare for a long process. And they're like, well, we only have like 4 hours. So we actually did that in 4 hours. And we really needed, video shoots a lot of times will take up to 12 hours, for a really good one. So I was like, well, let's go ahead and let's just do the best we can. And so let's keep it simple. We'll keep it black and white. We'll keep it sort of warehouse-ish feeling. We'll kind of let the lyrics and the and the shots kind of take over. So it was not as involved as what we could have made it, but we did what we could in the amount of time, and so I think we put out a pretty decent product for what we did. I think it's fitting. I don't think it's very distracting. We have talked about going ahead and adding some a new remastered, revised video rather than the music, but do a video where we actually have what we envisioned, actually have scenes. The little kid on a bike, he stops, he turns, he hears music coming from a window. He walks up to the window of the house. He looks in. There's two guys in denim and leather listening to, a Priest album. They come outside and crank it for him, so he's introduced to it. So all that's visual and that storyboarding, we may do that again someday. And that was really what we wanted to do, is do an entire walkthrough of the song. But we just had too many time constraints.
I just had a vision of a little, like a scene with a little kid on a bicycle outside a house where he hears some loud music and he looks through the window. Yeah. And what he ends up seeing is the from the outside looking in version of the part of the Twisted Sister video. We're not going to take it, where the father comes charging into the room to scream at the kid. Recreate that with the kid on the bicycle watching from the outside.
I love it. I love it. And JL's boy is young enough that he'd probably be the star of the show. So
I'm just breaking in here to let you know that you were listening to Mostly Metal on WVLP 103.1 FM in Valparaiso, Indiana. I'm Ken the Metal Professor, having a chat with Jeremy Ray of InnerSiege about their new album, Fury of Ages. All right.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, I love that.
There's a freebie for you.
Yeah.
So this is coming out. As we're talking, it's coming out in a couple of days. By the time this airs, it will be out. So I'm assuming it'll be going around the normal digital channels. And what are the release types?
Yes.
Are you guys doing vinyl, cassette? Are you doing cassettes now, like a lot of people are?
No, we're not doing cassette. At least not yet. I think we could probably talk about that, but I think for right now, we're definitely doing the vinyl, and it's a green vinyl. It's a really neat looking green vinyl that kind of goes with the artistry, and the artwork is done by Gustavo Sazes, who is the artwork master of all the power metal greats, within the genre. Everybody from, Camelot and Firewind and Amaranth and you name it, just on and on and on and on. And he's the man that does everybody's, and he's done our past two albums, and including having the same Shadow Lord character in both albums. Okay. So both album covers have the same character. And so it's a green sample taken from the new album, and so the vinyl's green, and then the CD itself, and then we'll have again like the digital on iTunes. I believe Deezer is going to have as well, and I think Spotify also too will be streaming some of it as well.
Okay, great. Now I'm going to play 2 tracks from the record after we're done jabbering here. If you were going to pick 2 of them to play, so somebody who hadn't heard you before would get a sense of everything you guys are about, what 2 songs off of the album would you pick?
Oh my goodness!
You can help me.
That's
here.
A tough one. Yeah, that's a tough one. When we first started this whole process, we thought Echoes into Eternity was going to be the one that was going to be the crossover in between, merging the old, traditional heavy metal type, listener, the Saxon, the Accept, those guys, and mixing it with the current modern, newer, Camelot and, some of the others. We thought that was possibly going to be the one. We do love that song, Echoes into Eternity. But I also love the whole vibe of Iron Lotus as well. That really showcases without, I don't want to say vocals are distracting, but it really showcases, the feeling and you really can hone in and listen to what they're playing. So love that one too as well. And I think just overall musically, I do like Firewind as well. Just the melody of it, the way it's put together, the way it's kind of polished. I think it's a nice polished song. We've gone over it quite a bit. But yeah, I think probably if I had to narrow down to say the broad scope of who the band is, it would be Power Metal Glory and Echoes into Eternity would probably be the 2 that I would say. Okay. If you're the chain and leather and metal guy, here's this one. And if you're more into, more of the, not progressive, but more of the, the modern, then here's Echoes into Eternity. I think those would have to be the 2.
Now I'll put you on the spot a little more. Let's say you get to help me program a full 20-minute set, so 4 songs. And so they're, like you pair cheese and crackers with a fine wine, 2 songs by 2 other bands that I would play with 2 of yours that would make the perfect pairing of like the cheese and crackers with the fine wine. Not that it has to be cheesy like, Manowar or something, but.
Yeah. I would think are you talking like brand new album, something newer or something older?
Whatever comes to mind.
Yeah, sure. So I just listened to the newest Firewind today with Herbie singing, their new vocalist, and I really like their song "Welcome to the Empire." I think that's a really good song. So something from Firewind.
Okay.
Something off from Dream Evil from the Dragon Slayer album. I think is a really great touch on that. That would be a nice one to throw in there.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Firepower, something off the Firepower from Priest.
Mm-hmm.
I think is a really good one. And something off of one of the two most recent Accept albums.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm trying to, I can't think of a track, but man, I mean, those guys, Priest, Sex, and Accept have several albums. The past couple albums have been fantastic.
They have been. That Accept album was what really surprised me as far as how much I liked it. So, do you have any shows coming up as things are starting to open up a little bit more?
We do. We have a couple. We have one in August and one in September. And we've kind of laid low, not really because of the COVID issue, but a couple days after we finished the final solo, JL solo, he actually had a diabetic stroke.
Oh.
And so JL, our flashy, phenom guitar player was basically numb or half paralyzed on his right-hand side.
Yikes.
So that was a very scary touch and go thing. So that happened in October. And then, so that was at least an 8-week, touch and go. Hey, can you hold a pick still? How's that going to work? And so he's still kind of rehabbing, through that. He can play. He's fine. He can play our music. There's no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So we go ahead and we say that he's up to speed. He's good. And then a couple months ago, his wife was diagnosed with a leukemia.
Ooh.
So she's coming out of that, and she's having her transplant here pretty soon. So we've been on hold, for both JL's family and Kev's family.
Mm-hmm.
So we've just kind of been taking it easy, and we think by August and September we're going to be ready to roll. So
Awesome.
We don't want any more family emergencies, no more health issues. We're ready to roll. Yeah.
And for people that want to stay up to date on this stuff, what are the best ways to keep informed via social media or whatever it happens to be?
Sure. So up around the Chicago area, I believe it's August the 14th, we're going to be playing at the Metal Monkey, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's that's getting finalized, and that's in the Chicago burbs area. The bestest, fastest way is going to probably be currently Facebook for the immediate announcements and the events. But just like with anything, we're trying to transition away from that and try to stick with our own website. But for right now, I would say the fastest is going to be the Facebook route with the events, on our page, on our main band page.
Okay. Last question then, and it sounds flippant, and maybe you get this a lot, and it's an annoying question, but it does have something to do with people's, if they're going to go online and search for your band by name, is that the band name InnerSiege is presented as kind of one word or with no space. It's, capital I, capital S. Where did the space go? What was the thought process behind that?
The thought process was, do you want the whole story on the band name? I can give you that real quick if you want.
Sure, why not? Go for it.
Okay, so we were kind of coming up with a name. We said, okay, I want everybody to go home and think of everything you can think of, and we'll meet back next week. So we had, 75, 85, different ideas and whatever. And I grabbed the thesaurus, and I'm flipping through it, and I'm looking at stuff. And so we got together then, and we said, okay, how about this? How about this? How about this? Long story short, we narrowed it down to 10. And then I said, okay, guys, then I want everybody to rank them 1 through 5, your top 5 favorites. And we're going to go through and pick that. So we met the next week, and InnerSiege was on everybody's top 5, but nobody's favorite.
Ah.
So I'm like, okay, well, this is cool. I had it like maybe number 2, someone else had it number 3, someone else had it number 4, 5, whatever. I said, okay, let's do a little research. So we did a little research and found that there was no band online, as far as we know, for all of music time, of music history. There's no band called InnerSiege.
Nice.
There was an album called InnerSiege that was 2 words from, I believe, I don't know if it was a black metal gore type band, and it was an album, but it was two words.
Mm-hmm.
And so occasionally, if you dig around deep enough, you might find that. That's an old album. I don't know how long it's been out, but so I'm like, well, hey, let's do this. Let's put it one word, capitalize it. That way, when you type it in, it's all going to be very unique. So none of it was our favorite. None of it was our number one. I don't think any of it was even our number two, but it wasn't taken or used. And Google said, hey, nobody's here. The website was free. The domain was free. The Facebook was free. All the socials were open. So we went ahead and the band name just solely based off of that. It was our top five, but and wasn't being used.
Great. All right, that's a good story.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should wrap it up because we've actually been doing this for about 40 minutes now. Thank you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the time. This time went by really fast. It's been fun and informative,
Sure did.
and I don't anticipate really trimming anything down. I'm probably going to be able to play it all as is on, again, Sunday night on the show's called Mostly Metal, and then the following Wednesday at 10 p.m. the show will re-air, so people have a chance to catch it a couple of different times. And just to summarize, I've been talking to Jeremy Ray, the vocalist from InnerSiege, based in the Peoria and Chicago areas, but distributing worldwide. The new album Fury of Ages being released on the 11th. So once I shut up here, I will play a couple of songs off the album. I'm taking your recommendations under advisement. And
Okay.
we'll see what couple of songs end up getting played, and then I'll play a couple of the other ones you recommended too, so you can help program the whole set. So good luck with everything.
Fantastic.
I hope this thing takes off for you guys, and I'm sure I will see you at a local show. I'm pretty sure I recognize you from your picture from maybe Prague Power if you've been there before.
Yes. Yes.
So we'll bump elbows at some point, and I'll say hi.
That sounds great. I love it.
All right. Thank you for your time, and have
Thank
a good
you,
night.
sir. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Take care. That wraps up my interview with Jeremy Ray, vocalist of InnerSiege. As promised, I'm going to play 2 tracks off of their new disc, Fury of Ages. The first one is called Echoes into Eternity. The second one is Power Metal Glory. You can head to YouTube to watch their video for that song. After that, 1 track by Accept off of their new album Too Mean to Die. The song will be Not My Problem. And from Judas Priest off of Firepower, Rising from Ruins, both recommended by Jeremy as pairing well with InnerSiege.